Alright guys, TacticalRab here again. So I hope you're doing well and enjoying your day so far. With many of this year's Rostermania questions now solved, the OpTic guys are given their perspective on which players didn't get back a spot into the league despite the fact that they think they absolutely deserve one. A couple of players coming to mind here, especially Huke, world champion for the 2020 season, was on the Seattle Surge last year, the team that's now going to be Vancouver for the upcoming season, was linked potentially to go to a couple of organisations that never decided to pull the trigger. What next for his career? Very much interested in your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new, as always, I greatly appreciate it. Plenty as ever to get into. Firstly, an update on the drama of yesterday, this exploit to get people permabanned. Now, apparently what this was, and Activision themselves actually confirms that there was a workaround to a detection system that impacted a small number of legitimate accounts, which they've now restored. So there's been some drama happening as ever. It's Call of Duty, it's cheating related, it's always how it's going to be. But it turns out that the game and the anti-cheat Ricochet, because it's so obviously advanced, right, and really the cutting edge technology here that we have in terms of anti-cheat in the world of competitive gaming. The anti-cheat looks into your memory, and if it sees in the memory the word trigger bot, then it thinks that you might have installed a trigger bot, and therefore it bans you, basically. Now, if you receive a friend request with either from a player name that has triggerbot in their name, or you receive a message that mentions triggerbot, or even words to that effect in that message, then those words go into your memory, right? The stored memory, and when the Ricochet anti-cheat looks through the memory files, it sees, oh, triggerbot, oh, we gotta ban you. Apparently that was happening, and it was possible, and now they are maybe going to resolve it, but it is a bit of a disaster, I'm not gonna lie. And they've also added some updates to the Ricochet anti-cheat for Black Ops 6. The day one goal is to catch and remove cheaters within 1 hour of them being in their first game. So, you know, we'll see if that works. I mean, let's be honest here, I've not got that much optimism based on the way this anti-cheat has worked over the last few seasons now at this point. But, look, we can only hope that this year it's going to be better, but we know that generally speaking, the cheat developers are always one step ahead of those trying to catch the cheaters. But we've got plenty to discuss. One man who honestly looked like he was cheating with the type of numbers that he was dropping was none other than King OpTic Scrappy, who dominated the OpTic Legacy match the other day. I thought this was kind of cool, to be fair. The Lion Man card for the OpTic Legacy match, probably the best Lion Man card you're ever going to see in your life. I mean, obviously 30 championship wins for Scump, 1 world championship back in 2017, 5-0 map count. Of course, they only played 1 series, but you know, 5-0 map count in the grand finals, the only final of the OpTic Legacy tournament. But yeah, the MVP card, a 1.62 in hardpoint, 1.76 in capture the flag, purple kills per 10, purple caps per 10, basically purple at anything, and he was purple as in 99 overall, as in the best in category. And okay, there was only 4 players on his team, but you know what I mean. And because he was number 1 in many of those categories, at least 2 of those categories, his overall rating was a 99 with a 3.13 KD in Search and Destroy. So, you know, Scump still got it, and, you know, these numbers delivered, and sure, there are caveats, the fact that it was Black Ops 2, and there was input delay that maybe the OpTic Texas boys hadn't had practice and experience on, but, look, these numbers were not dropped in a public match. Like, this wasn't Sweatban and 88-0 against Pub Kids, this was a series against the reigning world champions, right? So, you know, it's not like they're bad at COD, as it were. Let's talk about, though, what some of those OpTic boys actually had to say on things. Toronto got their media day stuff underway. Thought this is kind of cool from Drazah as well. I know that lots of the COD players have got into chess a little bit over the last few years. We know that aBeZy famously was a chess player when he was younger. Rambo was certainly into it. I think a couple of other players as well have kind of dabbled in it a little bit. I think maybe Ghosty, maybe I'm wrong on that. But yeah, a couple of players have been semi-interested in chess, and maybe Drazah's picking it up as well because he's won all the Black Ops 3 challenges. Nobody wants to play him anymore. So maybe that's the next adventure to keep keep Drazah's mind working. But I wanted to share a couple of things the OpTic boys had to say on the players and the teams for next season. Right, we've seen their comments on the Falcons team. Of course, Kenny reckons they're going to be surprisingly good. We've seen Pred say that he thinks Seattle Surge, maybe Cloud9 are going to be like best of the rest. Maybe Toronto aren't going to be as good as some people expect. And of course, you know, Dashy kind of roasting the Gentlemates team, saying that they're trying to pull off New York Subliners 2023 2.0, but it's probably not going to work out. But they also gave their thoughts here on which players they would probably have looked to sign and aren't getting a spot. Now, Donny Temp, of course, a well-liked player in the scene, didn't get an opportunity last year. We thought maybe he could have got brought back onto Vegas, but that never happens. He grinded it down in challenges, didn't really do well enough, or, we know that getting back in from challenges is hard, and the longer you're down there, the harder it is to get back, arguably. Obviously, connections, networks with pros are important, and Kenny gets along with Donny Temp quite well. It makes sense on that front. The big debate, though, I guess, is Huke, right? Because of all the players that have been in and around the league over the last few years, Huke is a world champion, still considered to have a very high ceiling. He's not getting picked up, as we understand this year. He was linked to certain teams. Maybe Rocker were interested at some time. They went in a different direction once Nero was available from, well, initially Nero was potentially going to go to the Cloud9 New York roster. Then they decided to get Mack instead from Ravens. So Nero went on to, we think, the Minnesota Rocker, replacing Huke. So Huke out of a league spot has caused a lot of controversy, and there's some other names in this convo as well.
Are there any players not rumored to be in the league that surprise you?
My boy Don Dada, bro.
Honestly, Kyler, bro.
Yeah, Kyler's a good one.
Kyler, yeah.
I feel like he'd be good at this game too.
Yeah.
I talked to him like the other day. Apparently, fuck. I mean, I know what team he was supposed to join. Actually, I don't think he fucking cares. We go to the things again.
We don't know no team.
Yeah, we don't know anybody. Like, what team was it again? Actually,
I'm not gonna lie. I actually forgot what he told me.
I don't know no team.
Yeah, that was the team.
So they picked Nero up over here?
Yeah, something like that.
I think Estro and Gio were guaranteed or something like that. Or I could be wrong on that.
I thought it was Estrel and Lynz at first.
I don't know.
I could have been making shit
up. That's what I'm think I'm making shit up too.
Yeah,
I just know I
don't know
Estro,
shit.
like initially on Minnesota or something like that, and then that was it.
Wait, so Nero Pockets apparently got picked over. Oh no, and then apparently fucking
Nero and Paul supposed to be on Carolina for who? Who Carolina? That's Austin in there?
Yeah, that's the Slasher TJ duo.
What is going on?
I'm telling you, bro. I realized too. It's like they take in 2018 they teamed, 2019 they did it, 2020 they did, and 21 they loved each other that much. They took a 2-year break.
Nero just took Kyler's spot. That's what they're saying.
But there's a year gap in that relationship.
I feel like that Seattle team last year was good.
Tyler not in the league.
Nah, actually
Tyler's not in the league. It's crazy. I didn't even.
I feel like it should have. I feel like it should have just done Abuzah, 04, and Huke. I feel like that team.
That was a good 3.
Like towards the end of the year, they were like, in my opinion, like top 5.
Yeah, they were like one of the better HP teams.
I would put them top 5. Sure.
I feel like my boy Cap should be on a team too.
Actually, I'm not.
Oh yeah, Cap, bro. Oh my god, I forgot about Cap.
Cap should
so many players. I guess
Cap, Kyler,
even Byron, Proloot. I think. Byron should be on a team, bro.
Bro, it's just that
if he has Byron, he also thinks he should be in the league.
Byron's a guaranteed S&D win.
100%.
If you talk to Byron, trust me, he thinks Proloot should be in the league too. I promise you.
So it is definitely one of the more controversial decisions here that Vancouver Surge, as they are now going to have been released from, obviously, the team, right? Or Huke and aBeZy have been released from that organisation. I'm pretty sure as well Hicksy put on his Instagram story the other day a story of him, like, in Vancouver, quite evidently. So that's going to be happening. I also do wonder, right, are they going to be based out of Vancouver? Because it was a debate as to if the Surge team is based out of Vancouver, how good that's going to be internet-wise, as in not very good at all. I mean, if you are a Vancouver-based team, I'm not going to get the Google Maps up again yet, but if this becomes a storyline for the season, that I probably will. But if you're Vancouver-based and you're playing a team from Texas, it ain't going to be easy. Scrims aren't going to be as good. We know that even from LA, teams struggled over the last couple of years with the connection on that front. So, yeah, that could be something to consider, especially if they are based out of there. That online, it might be a bit of a challenge. But to be fair, we know that Huke has generally been a better online player than LAN player over the last couple of years. He was on OpTic and did a pretty damn good job on OpTic Texas towards the end of the Modern Warfare 2 season. They had all the drama. Huke came in, certainly online, super solid. And there was a bit of debate at the end of the season as to whether they should have, kept him or not. Of course, they went for the Pred option, which definitely makes sense in hindsight. But, and look, trying to upgrade aBeZy for Surge, sure, I get it. You want to try and take a step forward. But as, the OpTic guys were kind of saying on that Surge team, they were pretty good at the end of last year. A surprise, maybe, that they've decided to make serious changes as they have decided to. But to be honest, right, I know people are saying like it's unforgivable, it's unbelievable that Huke isn't getting a spot. I don't necessarily know if it is. And, it's difficult for Huke, right? He was voted by some of the community. I mean, we're going to talk about this a bit more in a second here, and I'm not sure I agree with this. I think it's always difficult to say like who's the most overrated. I don't feel like Huke is overrated, really, but I think there is a lot of people saying that it's unbelievable that Huke doesn't have a spot, but I kind of get it, right? I mean, over the last few years, it's been difficult for Huke. He's obviously had his moments, and I wasn't massively unimpressed with Huke this season. Online, I think he was pretty solid. There was a time that he was putting in work for Surge, but like it's the same old story with Huke, really. He's going to be impactful on his maps and on his day, but it's not necessarily going to be incredibly consistent. And, he obviously with coaches, sometimes there is some problems there because they want him to play in a certain way. It's not always going to happen. And we know that Huke, like, look, if he just didn't give up mid-cut on HyDra versus like Zarqwa, HyDra, Electric, whatever the map was called, against New York Subliners when he was an OpTic at the World Championship that year, his career could have gone very differently since then. But everyone knows, right, that Huke was an absolute phenom when he first came into the league back in Advanced Warfare. And I still think people are looking at that version of Huke and saying, like, where has he been, really? And when he came back into the league in 2020, to be honest, right, okay, he was around in 2018, 2019, not to that much success, but 2020, Dallas Empire, back with, iLLeY and those guys, they won, with Kremp and the boys, they won the World Championship on Dallas Empire, but since then, of course, it's been pretty downhill. What happened with Thieves during Cold War, they bring him in, it doesn't really work, and this season, it's not like his numbers were anything spectacular. So it's a competitive league, and as difficult as it is, I do understand why teams aren't going for Huke. But at the end of the day, should he be one of the absolute top candidates to get back into the league when the time comes? I think absolutely. And also he's an SMG, and it's difficult to find good SMG talent. So I think that Huke, I don't think he needs to play challenges. I think he needs to play 8. He needs to keep his hat in the ring. I know people have said, could he go back to Halo? I mean, it's not impossible either. But my feeling is that if Huke just keeps it going, keeps pushing, grinds out some 8s and, whatever, and keeps his kind of name in and amongst the conversation of pro players, teams will need an SMG option that they could potentially bring back in. But I just don't know. Let's say Hicksy doesn't work out on Surge. Are they going to bring Huke back in? I don't necessarily know if they will. I don't know if Rambo wants that, quite frankly. So enter your thoughts as ever in the comments below. A couple of things to finish up the video with. I don't know if there's anything in this, but Kremp tweeted out, just like the good old days, quote tweeting the OpTic Dynasty comms, and it was a great listen. We shared it for you guys the other day. Hashtag OpTic Legacy match at Cash App. Now, just interesting that he adds Cash App, because this is the type of thing that an OpTic member would do, right? Because to our understanding, the prize pool might not have been real. So, if Kremp's going to tweet about this, why would he need to at Cash App unless he is, part of the deal that Cash App had with the actual entity, right? And I don't know, maybe they paid him to go, and as part of the response, it was like, look, Kremp, just tweet out something with that Cash App. But I don't know, I kind of saw this and thought, is Kremp going to join OpTic again? Because it's kind of the type of thing that an OpTic member would tweet, if you know what I'm saying, rather than just someone who happened to attend the event. But yeah, into your thoughts, because technically Kremp was the only guy there not on OpTic, as much as that makes a difference. But speaking of the OpTic boys, they also did mention their cities they would like to go to or return to when it comes down to CDL events. Now, it's pretty funny that they even admitted themselves they might be a bit biased, because the greatest of all time, the GOAT events they put in here, Toronto and Dallas, were of course the 2 events that they won this season. So, obviously that makes a bit of sense. They want to go to Vegas. They loved it out there. Of course, Anaheim, a legendary venue. This, of course, is the Hilton Bar in Anaheim. If some of you guys have attended, definitely, hopefully we go back there at some point anyway. It's been a while. I've only been there once in 2019. But yeah, definitely good memories. Run it back, they say, yeah, Boston, London, want to go back to those cities. Obviously, they have had Atlanta, Minnesota, New York events in the CDL era that they weren't a massive fan of. They're not so happy with the LA event that was done, of course, the Raleigh event, the Columbus event, and this is one of the reasons why I do kind of want the city-based stuff to say. I know that I've made it quite clear that I'm not a big fan of the city-based league, but I will say that at least the city-based league that we have are generally based in big cities and interesting cities. Like pre-CDL, lots of the events were run in Columbus, Raleigh, other cities like that, because they were cheaper to run events there because they weren't big cities. And that's cool. And like, it doesn't necessarily mean the event is worse, but like, do I want to be traveling all the way across the world to go to these events, to go to like, you know, I want to go to the big cities. You know what I mean? I feel like people want to go to the big cities. So that is an advantage of the city-based stuff, because if it goes away, then it's more likely that events are started to be run in, you know, smaller local venues, or at least events in places that might subsidize it or whatever, rather than in the big cities. And of course, there's other, well, venues that we would like to either go back to, right? So very much interested in your thoughts as ever in the comments section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, take care, and I'll see you next time.